Good morning, my dear student. How are you all? I hope you are all well by the grace of Almighty. I'm also well, my dear student. This is Kashruzzaman from Marston Preparatory KG School before you. Today, I'm going to take your English. So, my dear student, today we are going to learn the interesting topics double question. So, my dear student, open your CLB book and copy.
And yesterday, before going to the today's lesson, I'll ask you the previous lesson. Can you tell me what was your previous lesson? Yes, my dear student, your previous lesson was short composition about a firefighter. Have you prepared your lesson? Okay, tell me, my dear student, who is a firefighter? Can you tell me? Yes, a firefighter is a person who saves our life and property and put out fires in the fire accident. What is his main job? Yes, his main job is putting out fires in the fire accident. How is his job? Yes, his job is very risky and tough. Anytime they or he may lose his life. Okay, my dear student, thank you for learning your previous lesson. Now let's go to the today's lesson. Okay.
My dear student, today's new lesson is making double questions. So, what will be the learning outcomes of this lesson? So, my dear student, at the end of the lesson, student will be able to ask questions to the others, make interrogative sentence, use capital letters and question marks, recognize different type of questions. So I'll tell you, be very attentive towards the class. My dear student, so here you can see making double question. If you want to make double question properly and correctly, and if you want to get good marks in question number 9, then be very attentive. Okay, my dear student? My dear student, if you want to make double question correctly, then you have to follow some steps. And first step is double selection. So, my dear student, at first, you will look at the underlined word and try to understand that what does the underlined word indicate. If the underlined word indicates person in the subject, then double word will be who. Person in the object. If the person underlined word is in the object and it is indicate the person, then double word will be whom. If the underlined word indicate possessive case, then double word will be whose. If the underlined word indicates person and things in selections, then double word will be which. If the underlined word indicates the things, then double word will be what. If the underlined word indicates place, then double word will be where. If the underlined word indicates time, then double word will be when. If the underlined word indicates cause or region, then double word will be why. If the underlined word indicates number, frequency, duration, condition, quantity, distance, age, and time, then double word will be how many, how much, how far, how old, how long, etc. Okay, my dear student. So you have to be very careful to select the WH word. Okay, my dear student. So again and again, you will memorize that how to use the WH word, in which places which WH word will be used. Okay, my dear student. Now let's go to the next step 2. My dear student, if the underlined word is in the subject, WH word will be written instead of the underlined word, and after that, the rest of the words of the sentence will be written. So here you can see the structure of that. At first, WH word, then rest of the words of the sentence, then question marks. So my dear student, if the underlined word is in the subject, here you can see 60 seconds make a minute. So my dear student, here the underline, look at the underlined word, and underlined word 60, and it is in the subject. So here is written, if the underlined word is in the subject, then at first, instead of the underlined word, write the WH question, a WH word, then all the words of the sentence will be written after that. Okay, so 60 seconds. So here you can see, indicate the numbers. So here WH word will be how many. So right here, how many seconds, then rest of the words is seconds, minute, make a minute. So write all these words. How many seconds make a minute? And at last, you will write question marks. Second one, grains give us energy. So my dear student, here look at the underline word. And underline word indicates the things. So instead of underline word, this grains indicates the things. So WH word will be what. So write at first word, then I have said all the, as the underline word is in the subject, so all rest of the words of the sentence will be written. So what give us energy? And at last, question mark should be put, okay? And third, the hare went to sleep. So my dear student, look at the underline word. And the underline word is the hare. It indicates the person, okay? So, and it is in the subject. So instead of the underline word, WH word will be who. And as it is in the subject, so all the words will be written after that. So who went to sleep? And at last, question mark will be given. My dear student, next one. January is the first month of the year. So here, month instead of month. So it indicates the name of the month. So WH word will be what. So at first write what, and as it is in the subject, that's why all the words of the sentence will be written. So what, the next words are, is the first month of the year. So what is the first month of the year? And at last, question mark will be given. Okay, my dear student? So next, step 3. If the underlined word is in any places of the sentence after the verb, after writing the WH word, we have to see, is there any auxiliary verb such as am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, must. So these are the auxiliary verb, my dear student. So you have to see, is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence or not. If yes, then the auxiliary verb will be written after the auxiliary verb. Okay, my dear student? Then subject, then question mark. So here you can see the structures. Structure 1, at first you will write the WH word, then auxiliary verb, then subject, then question marks. So here you can see Mashuk is 10 years old. So first you will select the WH word. So underline, look at the underlined word. 10 years old. It indicates the time. That means the age. Okay. So WH word will be how old. So at first you will write how old. Then you will find out is there any auxiliary verb or not. Yes. Here you can see auxiliary verb. So here auxiliary verb. So is auxiliary verb. So write after that WH word, auxiliary verb is, then the subject, auxiliary verb, then subject, Mashuk, then question marks. So how old is Mashuk? Second one, he is writing a letter. So this is structure. At first write the WH word, then auxiliary verb. Here you can see auxiliary verb is, then subject, here he, and then main verb writing, then question mark. That means, my dear student, you have to remember that first WH question, then auxiliary verb, then subject, then main verb. Okay. So in this way, you will make the WH question. Step 4. If there is no auxiliary verb in the sentence, we have to bring do, does, did as an auxiliary verb after the WH word. If the verb is in the past tense, we have to take did. And if it is in the present form, then we have to take do or does. If yes or yes is added with the verb, we have to take does. Otherwise, do. Again, I'm telling my dear student, if there is no auxiliary verb in the sentence, we have to bring do, does, did as an auxiliary verb after the WH word. If the verb is in the first tense, we have to take did. And if it is in the present tense, that means in present form, then we have to take do or does. If yes or yes is added with the main verb, then with the verb, then we have to take does, otherwise do. That means, my dear student, you have to follow that. Is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence or not? If there is no auxiliary verb, then you have to bring or take do, does, or did as an auxiliary verb. Okay. So, my dear student, let's do some practice. So here two structure, WH word, did auxiliary verb as an auxiliary verb, then subject, then V1, that means present form of the main verb, then question mark. Then second structure, WH word, do, does as a auxiliary verb, then subject, then V1, that means present form of the main verb or question mark. So, my dear student, here, let's do some practice. Okay, my dear student, Rashidul Islam worked in a bank. So, my dear student, here you can see, look at the underline word. So, here underline word in a bank. So, it indicates the place. So what WH word will be used? Yes, instead of bank, it indicates the place. So, WH word will be where. So, write at first where. Then you have to find out is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence or not. Okay, my dear student, is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence? No, there is no auxiliary verb in the sentence. That's why you have to take do, does, or did. Okay, and you can see do, does, did. But look at the principal verb. If the principal verb is in the past tense, then you have to take did as an auxiliary verb. Okay, here you can see worked. So it is in the past tense. That's why you have to take auxiliary verb did as an auxiliary verb. Okay, so right here did. And that third one key, third one subject. Rashidul Islam, right here, Rashidul Islam. And then present form of the main verb here. You can see present form of the main verb. So work, okay? And then question mark at the last of the sentence, okay? Second one, Shoykut Islam lives in Bogura. So look at the underlined word in Bogura. It indicates the place. So instead of the in Bogura, so WS word will be where. So right here at first where. And then find out, is there any auxiliary verb? No, there is no auxiliary verb. Now look at the principal verb, that means main verb. Okay, in main verb, here you can see yes or yes. And I have said, if yes or yes is added with the main verb, then does will be taken as an auxiliary verb. Okay, so here yes, and that's why you have to take does. So why does? Then third one key, third one subject, Shoykut Islam, right here, Shoykut Islam. And then main verb, live, present form of the main verb. So, and at last, question mark will be given. Third one, I watch cartoons on TV every day. So look at the underlined word. Yes, every day. It indicates the time. So WS word will be when. So right here when. Then find out, is there any auxiliary verb? No auxiliary verb. So you have to take do, does, did, okay? But if the verb is present indefinite tense and there is no s, so you have to take do auxiliary verb as an auxiliary verb, okay? So right here do, and then subject I. So you know that in question, instead of I, you have to use you, okay? So when do you, then present form of the main verb watch, then rest of the words cartoons on TV. And at last, question mark will be given. Next, we are taking medicine to be cured. So my dear student, look at the underlined word to be cured. It indicates the region, okay? So that's why WS word will be used why, okay, right word, and then find out, is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence? Yes, my dear student, are. There is an auxiliary verb. So write the auxiliary verb are. Then subject, we. Then the main verb. Then the next word, medicine. And at last, question mark. So why are we taking medicine? Then next one, Maya goes to school at 8 a.m. every day. So look at the underlined word. Yes, at 8 a.m. So it indicates the time. So WS word will be when. Yes, right here when. And find out, is there any auxiliary verb? No auxiliary verb. So you have to take do, does, did. As there is yes is added with the main verb. So you have to take the auxiliary verb does. So right here does. And the subject Maria, then B1, that means present form of the main verb, that means go, that means, and the other word, to school every day. When does Maria go to school every day? And at last, question mark will be given. Next one, I like the greens vegetables. My dear student, here the green, here you can see special type of vegetables. That means here indicates the choice. So if the underlined word indicates the choice, then WS word will be which. So right here at first, which vegetable, that means which vegetable. Then find out, is there any auxiliary verb? No auxiliary verb. So you have to take do, does, did, as the verb is in the present form and no s or yes is added with the verb. That's why you have to take do as an auxiliary verb. So right here do, and instead of I, you have to write you, and the present form of the main verb like, okay, like, and then last of all, question marks. Okay, my dear student. So the WS question is, which vegetables do you like? Next one, my dear student, Jessica is helping her mother. So look at the underlined word, her mother. So my dear student, it indicates the person. It indicates the person. And it is in the object. So my dear student, if it indicates the object and indicates the subject, and if it is in the object, then WH word will be whom. Again, I'm telling my dear student, if the underlined word indicates person and it is in the object, then WH word will be whom. So write here whom, and then auxiliary verb you can see here is. So write here is, and the third one subject Jessica, and the main verb helping and question marks will be given. So whom is Jessica helping? Next one, Anita took Seema's pain. So my dear student, look at the underlined word Seema's. So it in the possessive case, that means ownership. So if indicates the possessive case, then WH word will be whose, and right here whose pain, and then no auxiliary verb here. So you have to take do, does, did as the main verb. Took, it is in the past tense, then did will be taken as an auxiliary verb. So right here did, and then subject Anita, and present form of the main verb, that means took, it will be take, and at last question mark will be given. So whose pain did Anita take? Next one, the weather was nice. So look at the underlined word nice. Okay, it indicates the condition of the weather. Okay, so my dear student, it indicates, that's why WH word will be how. So right here how, then find out the auxiliary verb, yes, was here, right? Then after that the subject, the weather, and at last question mark, how was the weather? Okay, my dear student. Then there are 366 days in a leap year. So my dear student, look at the underline word 366 days. It indicates quantity, that means countable. Okay, so if it is indicates the quantity countable, then WH word will be how many. So right here first, how many days? There are 365 days. So at first you will write how many days, and then auxiliary verb, is there any? Yes, are. So right here are, and the subject there, and the next words of the sentence. How many days are there in a leap year? And at last question mark will be given. Next one, they need 2 liters of milk. So look at the underlined word. Yes, it indicates the quantity, that means uncountable nouns. Okay, so my dear student, the WH word will be how much. Okay, so right here how much milk. Okay, then you will write milk, how much milk, and no auxiliary verb here, so you have to take do, because the present form of the here the verb is in the present form. Do, how much milk do, and the subject they, and the main verb, present form of the verb need, and question mark will be given. So how much milk do they need? Next, Teknaf is about 155 kilometers from Chittagong. So my dear student, it indicates the distance, and that's why WH word will be how far. So right here how far, and then auxiliary verb is, then Teknaf subject, and then next of the words from Chittagong, and question mark will be given. How far is Teknaf from Chittagong? The man is waiting here for an hour. Look at the underlined word for an hour. It indicates the time, okay? Length of the time, duration. So WH word will be how long. Here you can see how long. And is there any auxiliary verb? Yes, is. So right here is, and the subject, the man, and the main verb of the sentence, waiting here. So how long is the man waiting here? And question mark will be given. Then we come to school one day in a week. My dear student, one day, the underlined word, it indicates the frequency. Okay, so if it is indicates the frequency, then WH word will be how often. So right here at first how often, then find out is there any auxiliary verb, no auxiliary verb. So do, does, did, as the verb in the present form, so you have to take do, as there is no es with the verb, so do. and then subject to, then present form of the verb come, then to school in a week. That means how often do we come to school in a week?
My dear student, in feedback, I'll say how much attentive you are in my class. So my dear student, let's make some WS questions. So my dear student, what I have said for making the WS question? Yes, at first you have to select WS word. For selection WS word, you have to look at the underlined word first, and if the underlined word indicates the time, the WS word will be when. So here you can see Tamim plays cricket on weekend. So look at the underlined word. Yes, the underlined word is on weekends. It indicates the time. So the WS word will be what? When. Yes. So right here when. Then you have to see, is there any auxiliary verb in the sentence or not. Here you can see no auxiliary verb. So you have to take do, does or did as an auxiliary verb. As the verb is in the present form, so you have to take do or does. If yes or yes is added with the verb, then you have to take does, otherwise do. So here, right here, does. Here you can see yes, that's why you have to take does. And third one, subject, you have to write subject Tamim. So when does Tamim, then main verb of the sentence play. Right, play. Then the object cricket, cricket, cricket. And then what? Question mark will be given. Okay, my dear student. So next one. She works in a bank. So here you can see, look at the underline word. What does the underline word indicate? The underline word indicate a place. So which WS word will be used? Yes, where. So right here, where. And then look at the sentence. Is there any auxiliary verb? No, no auxiliary verb. So you have to take do, does, did. As is added with the verb, so you have to take does. So right here, does. So where does? Then third one is subject, she. Where does she? Then main verb, work, W-O-R-K, work. Then question mark will be given. See, the weather was nice. Look at the underline word, nice. It indicates the condition of the weather. Okay, so if it indicates the condition, then WS word will be used how. So right here, how. Then you have to find out, is there any auxiliary verb or not. Here you can see was. Yes, right here was. How was. Then the subject is the weather. Then what? WS question mark will be given. Next, Raju is in class 5. So look at the underline word, Raju. Yes, it indicates person and it is in the subject. And I've said that if the underlined word is in the subject and it indicates the person, then WS word will be who. So write who. Then, and I also said that if the WS word is used instead of subject, then other words of the sentence will be written. Okay, so right here, who is in class 5, then question mark will be given. Next one, ice cream is delicious food. So look at the underline word, ice cream. So it indicates the things. So which WS word will be taken? Okay, so what will be used. So write here what. Then is there any auxiliary verb? Yes, is. So write here what is. And then the rest of the word. What is delicious? What is delicious? Food. And then question mark. Okay. Thank you for being with me. Okay, my dear student.
My dear student, now I'll give your homework. So my dear student, write your homework. Homework number will be 26. Make 8 WS question, learn and write. Okay, my dear student? So you will do the homeworks and submit it to your concerned teacher. Okay, my dear student? My dear student, now we are at the last session of the class. I've given the homework. You will do the homework correctly and properly and submit it to the concerned teacher. Okay? In the next class, see you. Allah Hafiz.